In our panel discussion earlier, Vincent Boon highlighted how creating an online community around giffgaff has been at the very heart of its success and an integral part of their communication strategy. Vincent has now turned his attentions to Telefónica's new operating business, Standing on Giants, which is a B2B proposition with a mission to be global leaders in serviced community management. As one of the leading experts in this sphere, Vincent can now tell us more about the creation of communities and how this can transform the way that businesses communicate with their customers. Vincent.
So hi, I spoke before already, so you guys kind of know a little bit about giffgaff already. So I won't go through too much of that. So rather than, sort of like really explain what giffgaff did, I'm going to talk a little bit about obviously Standing on Giants, but more around what we actually do. So the background of it. What do you actually need to think of when you're actually managing these types of communities? Sort of more the philosophy and the methodology behind it. And then after that, I will just simply show you some, concrete results of what you can actually get out of it when you put your customer, at the heart of your business. What you do, what it means when you actually allow those customers to actually help shape your business. So within giffgaff, obviously, we set up that online community. That worked really, really well. So we moved that part of the business out. Then set up Standing on Giants to serve as basically the other businesses within Telefónica, and now we're doing this, globally for other businesses as well, such as Airbnb, Fujitsu, banks, telecoms, energy providers, you name it. So to start off with, I kind of want to explain, what the philosophy behind an online community actually means. Right, there's 7 key points here that you need to think about when you actually start, interacting with, the people that actually, spend their money with you. 1 being mutuality. So if these people are actually coming in and they're interacting with you on an online community, how do you treat them? Well, if they do something for you, we feel that, you need as a company to do something for them. Because the thing is, what these customers do for you represents an enormous amount of value. And so we need to think about that as a company, and so see whether or not we can put in programs that allow them to actually, get some return in terms of the time that they're actually investing in your company and helping you grow. So that means member involvement. To really get a community, off the ground, it's getting your members to really get involved with your company. Allow them to give you, sort of like feedback and ideas, but also seeing whether or not the different campaigns that you're running or the different projects that you're running, in what way can these people get involved with you? So we're trying to create something that is for the collective good. So it's not just good for the company, it's also actually good for the consumer. That means that the things that you're implementing and the ideas that you're generating with that community and the feedback you're getting is actually creating, a better place and a better product for both you, i.e. earning you more money or saving you cost, and better for the customer themselves, i.e. they get the features and the way they can interact with you in a better way. Keeping it simple is incredibly important. Just now we saw a good example of that in terms of redesigning the website and making it very simple. But this also means within a community setting that you really want people to make it very easy to interact with you. Right? No, massively long sign-up processes, making it part of their already existing account, for example, making it very easy to interact in terms of they don't have to write massive essays. They can just give a comment or allow you to, to hear whether or not via like or whatever, a star rating, whatever you want, of the different things that other people say. So, allow them to interact in whichever way they want. Then respect. So, you'll be surprised to know maybe that a lot of these people will spend, 12, 14 hours a day on these communities, right? Constantly talking and, helping you out, helping other customers out. That's a lot of time, right? So for us, that respect means from the customer towards the business, right? They need to understand that you guys are trying the best you can. And therefore, the kind of feedback that they give, has to be constructive, right? It has to be something that we can actually do something with. But it also means that from the business towards the customer, you need to have a lot of respect, you know? Because these people are, you know, highly, highly engaged with you as a company, it does mean that, you know, they are, you know, some of them are pretty, you know, sort of high level in terms of their thinking. But they come from all walks of life. So there might be people there that have worked in marketing, they've worked in brand, they've worked in sales, finance, whatever, right? So we need to make sure that we actually understand, you know, and actually engage with them at that right level and give them the respect that they deserve. Then feedback, we really need to understand that, you know, a lot of the things that they're saying is something that helps you as a company improve. So therefore it's about feeding back to the customers, letting them know that you've heard them. Even if they are things that they're saying that you don't agree with, that's fine. But letting them know that they actually, that you've really read it, that you've thought about it, that you've discussed it maybe internally in the business, and the outcome of that is incredibly important. It helps continue that discussion. And then ideas. Like I've said earlier in the session that we had, you know, at GiftGaff, we implement an idea from the community every 3 days. I'll go into some of the statistics of that as well, in terms of the amount of ideas that we get. But it is important that when you get ideas in, again, it's about evaluating them, seeing whether they're right for your business or not, and then seeing what you can do as a business to actually implement them. That obviously means that in terms of your roadmap and the way you work, you know, for some companies that means you will have to change. Means that you have to change the way you work and the way your development teams work. Obviously, we work on a very agile kind of methodology where our sprints, and that's what they're called, periods of development, are only 3 weeks long. And we're constantly evaluating the roadmap of features and things that we want to do with that community as well. You know, where it's a pretty open kind of organization in that sense. But what you want to do is obviously make sure that you empower your customers to do a lot of these things. Because what you don't want to do is, I don't know, for example, via Twitter or whatever, respond to everyone yourselves. Because the more people start using that channel, the more people you're going to have to hire to actually service all of these different customers that want to interact with you. So what you're trying to do is actually build up basically a workforce within your community that can actually operate in the same way that you do. So giving them the right information, right? Giving them responsibility for certain areas, for certain projects, that kind of stuff, that they really take ownership of and that they know a lot about. If you do that, the more people actually start using your community, the bigger the group is that can actually start helping you out. And then it just becomes incredibly scalable. So another thing that we kind of do to make sure that this works, right, in terms of that scaling and really empowering users, is to profile their expertise and interest. We want to know the different platforms that they are using. So whether they're, you know, used to working on a PC laptop, or whether they're used to working on a mobile device, what type of mobile device are they working on, right? What do they know a lot about? Do they know a lot about Android or iPhone, that kind of stuff? And if so, fine. What are the types of things and how do they want to interact with you? Do they just want to help other people out, or are they just interested in, you know, discussions or giving you feedback or giving you ideas? Knowing this kind of stuff about your customers means that whenever you're trying to change something or whenever you're trying to get some feedback from customers, you know exactly who to target. That also means that we actually map the different relationships within that community. You know, who talks to who, right? Do they like each other? Do they dislike each other? Do they often actually dislike what you do as a brand, or are they always positive? Have they got a group of followers basically within that community that are always agreeing or disagreeing with whatever they say? If we know what these people are like, the temperament, you know, the different ways in which they like to interact, it means that whenever we need to get information out there, or when something breaks or when something goes wrong with our business, we can immediately target these people and we can get information out to a lot of other people much quicker. And that also means that when we've got an influx of other users when something breaks onto these types of communities, we immediately have there a whole range of people at the ready to help us out, so that we don't constantly have to, you know, jump in conversations that are happening there, the same, you know, same types of conversation over and over, because people go like, hey, why is the website broken, or why can't I, you know, I don't know, add money to my wallet, and that kind of stuff. There are other people that already know that, right, and they're helping you out. So for us, in terms of the way we work at Standing on Giants and building these communities, we always strive to make it a symbiosis model. And so I've got here 3 kind of like examples of businesses and how they work together. With Esso, for example, you just go to the gas station, you fill up, and you're done, right? You don't really have any interaction other than filling up your car with that company. With Amazon, you see a little bit more kind of interaction in terms of how they deal with their customers. There you see reviews or star ratings on products, and often you base your decisions on what other people have rated those products. But Amazon is still not really interacting with their customers themselves. Whereas with giffgaff, we really try and put that customer at the heart of the business and see what they can do for us, right? And not only that, what we can do as a business for them to make those products better. So in that kind of model, right, the business couldn't even exist without that community. So keep that in your mind. So in terms of how we sort of like integrate the businesses with that community, we look at all ways in which they can do that. So in this case, customer support. It's really important for us. One of the reasons why we started giffgaff is that in terms of the cost for a mobile operator, customer service costs are huge. Just for Telefonica alone, the annual cost is about 3 billion a year, right? Just on customer service. It's insane. Right? So actually setting something up like this where there is no traditional customer service is going to make a massive difference for the company as a whole. So therefore we need to get customers to actually help other customers out, answering their questions. But also in terms of R&D, getting new ideas in, right? Getting them to actually look at the different things that we sell and going like, all right, well, is this the right package for me? And if not, what other things can we add? Similar to product development, where we're just redefining completely what the business sells. We've gone from just selling minutes and data and texts to selling phones, which we originally didn't do as well. But we now even have within giffgaff where we sell what do you call that? Like plans to when you buy a phone and you're paying a lot of money. The financing of it, right? So the financing side is also completely peer-to-peer. So it's other customers lending other customers money, so in order to buy the latest iPhone or whatever it is. PR and comms. So a lot of the customers actually go out there, and they're the ones who are defending us online. When someone who writes something about the brand, it's often our customers who are out there saying like, well, that's actually not true. We know that this company has had a conversation about that, and here's an example of what they've done. So we as a company, it's very hard for us to go online in all of these different forums or social media sites as a brand to go there and trying to defend what you do. No one takes you seriously or they don't listen. And they're always going to say like, oh, of course you're going to say that everything is perfect. But when your own customers are doing that, then all of a sudden people take notice. Customer acquisition, I'll show you some stats on that later on as well, but that's something really, really important as well. So for us, I wouldn't know what that's like in the betting industry, but within sort of like the mobile industry, the cost per acquisition is incredibly high. Roughly about 200 to 250 pounds per customer that it actually costs to get that customer on board with you. So now actually allowing your own customers to bring customers on board, all of a sudden it becomes a hell of a lot cheaper. On average, it's going to be around £12, right, to get a new customer on board. It's amazing. And similarly, in terms of marketing. So often there's a lot of cost involved in obviously creating marketing campaigns, getting a lot of content on your website. These days, content is going to be incredibly important. So community in itself already drives a lot of content, which Google absolutely loves, because all of that content is obviously member-driven. And that's something that the Google algorithms pick up a lot. So any type of question that you now fill in on Google, you make a search, well, quite often one of the first search results will be a forum. Now, if this forum, right, this message board is owned by you as a company and you go directly to that website, it's going to make a big impact. Similarly, customers create a lot of content in terms of videos, blogs. It all depends on what you as a company allow your customers to do. So that's kind of like the philosophy behind it. I'll just now go quickly into some real case studies in terms of the results that we got out of here. Here's O2 in the UK, which we saw previously, a case study of in terms of some of the marketing campaigns they did. But this is purely in their online community. So over the last 12 months, this is just 10 users, right? These 10 users have created over 66,000 posts, right? Pieces of content. They've created, about 2,400 solutions. So these are answers that these 10 people have given, that the person who asked them said, all right, this has actually helped me. This is the one that actually specifically helped me. So the customer has to set that solution. They spend about 1 million minutes online, and they've read about 1 million pages of content. All just 10 users. But what does that mean? Well, those solutions, in total, it was obviously more than 10 people who were on that community. So, in total, there's about 3,500 of these accepted solutions, right? What does that mean? Well, it means 5 million views. So it's not just the people who are creating these solutions. No, it's all the people reading these solutions. We get about 6.5 million unique visitors and about 16 million page views. But what we also do is we add in a very short survey at the end of someone's session, where we ask simply 2 questions. 1, did you find the answer that you were looking for? Yes or no? If you say yes, I found the answer that I was looking for, you get a second question. If you said no, that was it. So you said yes, I found the answer that I was looking for. Second question is, do you still need to call the call center, yes or no? If you say no, great, you fall into the 15%. So if we're looking at that, 15% of all of the people that are actually, hitting that community and are looking around for a little while, they actually don't have to call the call center. What does that mean when you look at a cost per call and the amount of people that we get? It's roughly 3 million savings, right? It's quite a nice chunk of money. And like I said before in the session as well, at the moment, it's about proving the cases within Telefonica and get them to push more volume through these types of channels. Similarly, we do this in Movistar, Argentina, another big telco. And there, again, we kind of do the same kind of things, but here I'll just specifically look at the content that they create, right? 120 tutorials and guides that they've created over the last 12 months. Right, 60 product reviews, 30 blog posts, right, and 3 video guides. When I actually asked Movistar Argentina to say, all right, well, what does this cost normally, right, when you go to your marketing agency and get this kind of content created? They came back with a number of $600,000 for me, right, and this is in Argentina where things are a lot cheaper anyway. So similarly, we took over their community, right? So they were running it themselves with a bunch of customer service agents. And they were actually at roughly about 55 people, right? We took over their kind of community, and the amount of people that they put on that, I drastically reduced. And again, that community is running now a hell of a lot better than it used to run. And what does that mean for them? Well, they used to, be at around 15 agents and 4 community managers just to run this community, just to keep that engagement going. So we've saved them, over $500,000, dollars just on staff. Again, staffing is a lot cheaper in Argentina than it is in the UK, but still, right? That's still a hefty saving that you just get out of, less headcount. And when we then also looked at the SEO and the marketing value of that community, what that represented, well, they actually looked at that and they said, well, we get about 2.8 million impressions every month, right? What that meant actually for them is that they get about over 200,000 click-throughs. Normally they pay $1.4 per click, and so they estimate that they saved themselves just by having that community and the enormous amount of volume of content that's there to save themselves roughly 300,000 a month just on SEO, right? These are pretty big numbers when you think about it. And that's all because you've got an engaged community that is willing to put the effort in to add in that information, answer questions, and get involved with the company. And then last but not least, a little case study about GiftGaff. So in terms of the ideas, we're just a simple mobile company. We've had over 16,000 ideas submitted by members, right? Talk about engagement. Not only that, we get about 140,000 comments on these ideas. So, not all of these ideas that are coming in are particularly great, But there's other customers that then start running with it and saying, you know what, you've got some sort of like core of an idea, but have you thought about this? Or have you thought about that? And they're refining those ideas until they're actually becoming valuable to the company, which is why we can implement one idea every 3 days. Yeah? And obviously a lot of visitors and lots of votes also placed on the different ideas. But it's completely changed the way the business works and the types of products that we're selling. They create applications for us. So gift was a very low cost kind of model. And so we didn't have the money to actually create an application. Well over 20 applications have now been created by the users themselves on all formats, from desktop to BlackBerry to Android and mobile, all the way from actually being able to see a local antenna status, right? Obviously to being able to actually add money to your account. All of these are all being created by our community. Right? Some of the things we've had to do is just buy a server for them or buy a Google account so they can actually put their app on the Google store. But, these are really valuable things that are all, being created for that community and used by that community, downloaded hundreds of thousands of times. They create leaflets explaining what we do. They are the ones who created this, right? Completely on brand. They're printing it out and they're leafleting neighborhoods, telling them about, how great GiftGaff is and maybe you should join. Similarly, they've created referral brochures. Right? We obviously work with a kind of member-get-member scheme, and these guys create these brochures, and they're not just for them. They put them online. They put them on the community and say, anyone who wants this, right, please download it and use it. Similarly to visual comparisons, they work a treat on Twitter. Right? So again, they're comparing our offers with that of our competitors, right? And they're creating these visual comparisons and giving it to us and say, all right, tweet them out. They're creating a GiftGaff store. Well, completely not on brand, but hey, if they want to make t-shirts and sell them, go with it, right? Who cares? All the way to GiftGaff stands and, if you've got a local corner shop, you can, create this. The guy that made this, his job was actually, you've probably seen them as a kid where you see those little lines where you have to fold and a little scissor where you have to cut and then you fold it and put it all together and something comes out of it. That's what his job was. So he made this one to create a little stand where you can put your Sims on, and if you've got a corner shop, you just put it on your corner, on your counter, and then you sell the Sims. All the way down through, the customers actually creating a complete, end-to-end distribution channel. So again, because we were a low-cost operation, Apple came with a great idea to actually change the SIM cards for their iPhones to become smaller. Well, we had all the big ones still, and we couldn't actually afford to change our distribution. So what did we do? We said, all right, well, I actually bought some SIM card scissors and sent them out to the community. They then started buying them themselves and started cutting these SIMs down for anyone who wanted it. All the way through till they actually made their own website. We added this into our own sales process. So if you went onto the GiftGaff website and you wanted to buy a microSIM, you would go to this site. And the users were completely created this. There was like security around it and everything. And it was a complete distribution channel, end-to-end, including the website, all the way to them actually packaging and sending out the SIMs first class, right, to our customers. So I'll finish this in terms of the real commercial kind of benefits on this. Customer care savings, well, we know what the rest of the sort of like Telefonica telcos pay, right? We can see that we save on average 50%, right, compared to a traditional telco. Our customer satisfaction levels, right, are around 80 and have been ever since, right, since the start. We started in 2009. Net Promoter Score, I don't know whether you guys look at that as well, is in the plus 70s. Normally for a telco, it's in the minus, right? Plus 70, that sits around levels of Google on a mobile network that doesn't even have a call center, right? So this is pretty stunning. In terms of churn, well, we see a lot of churn. I don't know whether you guys look at that as well, but basically means when a customer comes in, eventually they leave again, right? Just getting a customer to post once in a forum already means a 31% reduction in churn. Getting them to read more than 5 pages, 41%. Giving them any payback, and that's that mutuality that I was talking about before. You interact in that community, we give you a little bit of money. It's tiny, but any payback, and it's pennies, right? Any payback that they receive, 52% reduction in churn. Super users, on average, activate about 40 other paying customers, and any forum participation doubles the likelihood of you bringing on another friend, right? This is huge. And then, obviously, in terms of our sales, Well, the overall referrals from customers is over 25%, right? Over 25% of all our customers come in through that community. So these are, you know, pretty hefty results. So I hope this gives you a little bit of an idea of the kind of like, you know, the philosophy behind it and what it actually means within a business. Thank you very much.